I wake up to the same noise every morning, the screech of the alarm, the dull light creeping through the curtains, the same thoughts circling in my head as if they're stuck in a loop. It's not even 7 a.m., but my brain is already working overtime, calculating how much I can afford to spend today, how much of my paycheck I can stretch to last until the next one. I wish it were just a few numbers I could forget about for a while, but they stay with me, persistent, looming, like a weight on my chest. The cost of everything keeps going up. Rent. Gas. Groceries. A couple of months ago, I realized I'd been paying more than I had the previous month, even though I hadn't bought anything extra. It's like the world itself is tightening its grip on me, pulling me in deeper. I don't know how much longer I can keep treading water. I head into the bathroom, and for a moment, I look at myself in the mirror. Dark circles under my eyes, my skin pale from a few too many late nights trying to crunch numbers or distract myself with TV. I can't remember the last time I felt rested. Or hopeful. Or excited. It feels like everything I used to want is slipping further away, like dreams that once had weight but now feel more like daydreams, fragile, distant, untouchable. I'm not even 25, but sometimes I feel like I'm already running out of time. Everyone around me seems to have their life figured out, while I'm just here. Barely keeping up, trying to make sure I don't fall behind too much. I grab a bowl of cereal, the cheapest I could find at the grocery store, and sit down at the kitchen table. I try to ignore the pang of guilt for not having something more nourishing, but it's hard. It's hard to justify spending more when I know that in a few days, I'm going to be scrambling to pay the bills. It's like I'm living in a constant state of survival mode, where every little decision matters. The worst part is the feeling that I'm stuck. Stuck in a system that seems designed to keep me here. My rent is high, and there's not much available that's cheaper or better, especially now with inflation running rampant. I used to be hopeful that with time, I'd climb the ladder, get a raise, maybe even save up for a house. But every time I take a step forward, I'm knocked back 2 steps. A couple of months ago, I finally bit the bullet and got a second job. It wasn't glamorous, but it was money I could count on. Still, it felt like a temporary fix, not a solution. I spend my mornings at one job, and my evenings at the other, with just enough time to eat and sleep before I repeat the whole thing. I can't even remember what it feels like to have free time, real free time, where I don't have to plan it in between exhaustion and the next thing I have to do. There are days when it feels like I'm doing everything I can and still not getting anywhere. I want to do more, to save more, to dream more, but every dollar I manage to save just gets eaten up by an unexpected expense, an emergency medical bill, a broken-down car, or, God forbid, a leaky roof. It's like a constant game of whack-a-mole, where I'm running around trying to put out all these little fires, but the next one always pops up. I don't even have the luxury of thinking about the future anymore. I used to dream of traveling, starting a business, even owning a home. I can't remember the last time I allowed myself to really think about those things without feeling guilty for wanting something I can't afford. I've become good at telling myself to be patient, to just wait until the economy calms down or until I can get a better paying job. But the truth is, I don't know if that day is ever coming. It's funny, because growing up, everyone always told me to work hard and you'll make it. That's the mantra, right? Hard work equals success. But I've worked harder than ever these last few years, and yet, I feel more distant from my goals than I've ever been. Every paycheck that comes in feels less like a step towards something and more like a band-aid over a wound that just keeps reopening. I hate how it makes me feel about myself. I hate how small I feel, how insignificant. I tell myself that I'm just going through a rough patch, that things will improve if I just keep pushing through. But the truth is, I'm tired. I'm so damn tired. And it's hard to admit that. There's no one to talk to about it. People don't want to hear about your struggles. Everyone is struggling, right? It's the shared experience of being an adult in this economy. So, I stay silent, keep my head down, and keep going. Sometimes, I wonder what my life could look like if money wasn't such a huge weight around my neck. If I didn't have to worry every single day about whether I'd be able to afford the basics. If I didn't feel the pressure of always needing to be on, hustling, working, never truly resting. I wonder if I'd still be so focused on my career, or if I'd spend more time with friends, or if I'd finally be able to take that vacation I've been fantasizing about for years. But those dreams feel so distant now. Every time I allow myself to think about what could be, my brain snaps me back to reality. You can't afford that. Don't be ridiculous. I used to think those were just passing thoughts, that they didn't have any power. But the longer I'm in this cycle, the more I start to believe them. I tell myself that I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one who feels trapped. But it doesn't change the fact that this is my reality. Some days, I feel like I'm just trying to get through the next hour. I don't know when it will stop feeling like this, or if it ever will. I just want to breathe without feeling the weight of it all. I want to feel like I'm more than my bank account. I want to feel like I'm more than my job, more than my debt. But right now, it's hard to imagine anything else. There's no easy answer. I know that. No magical fix that will make everything fall into place. But I keep going, even if it's just to make it through another day. I've learned to accept that sometimes survival is all I can do. Maybe one day, things will change. Maybe one day, I'll look back on this time and realize that it wasn't the end of the story, just a chapter in a bigger journey. But for now, all I can do is take it one day at a time, keep my head above water, and try not to lose hope. And that's all I can do. Keep going, even when it feels like everything is against me. Because even in the smallest ways, I know there's a part of me that refuses to give up. Maybe that's all I can hold on to. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. It's not just the bills. It's the weight of them. The constant pressure on my chest every time I open my mailbox, every time I get an email with an update from a company, or even just a glance at my bank account. I've gotten so used to the sinking feeling that comes with it, that it's almost like an old friend at this point. But I don't want to be friends with it. I want it to leave. I want my life back, or at least, I want to have the chance to live it before the numbers swallow me whole. I don't know exactly when I crossed the line between managing my expenses and drowning in them. Was it the rent hike last year? The constant inflation driving up the cost of food and gas? Or was it when I started saying no to things I used to love, simple things like going to dinner with friends or buying a new book just because I wanted it? It's been a slow descent, so gradual that I hardly noticed the toll it was taking until I realized I hadn't treated myself to anything in months. Not even a coffee from my favorite cafe, the one where I used to spend Sundays reading with a warm cup in my hands, pretending the world was slower, kinder. Now, everything feels like a calculation. I wake up and, even before I leave the bed, I'm already doing mental math. How much is left in my account? How long can I last on this paycheck? Will I be able to afford groceries this week? How much can I afford to put on my credit card without letting the interest rates bury me? Even in the quiet of the morning, these questions are there, hanging over me like a storm cloud that never quite breaks. It's hard to explain to people who aren't living this. My friends talk about their weekends, their vacations, the new clothes they bought, and I smile and nod, but it feels like they're living in a different reality. I've learned to just nod and smile because the truth is too heavy to share sometimes. That I'm barely making it. That I'm scared. Not just scared for the present but for the future. I work full-time at a job that's just enough to cover the basics. And by basics, I mean rent, utilities, and food. Barely. Every month feels like a juggling act, and sometimes the balls just fall. I don't know how long I can keep up with this pace before I break. And the thing is, everyone tells me things will get better. It's just temporary, they say. You're doing great, just hang in there. But it doesn't feel temporary. The weight of it doesn't feel temporary. It feels like it's going to crush me eventually. I've started doing weird things to cope. Like skipping meals, not because I'm trying to be healthy, but because I literally can't afford the food. I'll ration out what I have, making it last longer, stretching it thin, convincing myself that I'm fine even though I'm hungry. And when I do eat, it's cheap. Canned soup, ramen noodles, rice. Nothing fresh. Nothing that feels like comfort. Just enough to get by. Sometimes, I'll sit at my desk and look at the bills, the ones that have piled up over time, and feel like I'm failing. I used to be optimistic. I thought I'd be further along by now. That I'd have something to show for my hard work. I thought I'd be building towards something, a career, a future, something meaningful. But right now, all I'm building is debt, and that's not exactly the dream I had in mind. It's funny how dreams can get pushed aside when you're just trying to survive. I used to have big plans. I wanted to travel, to see the world, to write stories that people would remember. I wanted to have a cozy little apartment that wasn't cramped, with a window I could look out of and see more than just the neighbor's wall. I wanted a dog, maybe a cat, someone to share my life with. But now? Now, I can't even imagine taking a day off to rest without feeling guilty about it. Taking a vacation feels like an impossible luxury. I haven't been able to justify it for years. And yet, there are days when I let myself dream. The dreams come in flashes, usually when I'm in the shower, or when I'm lying awake at night. I imagine walking through a park, no worries, no calculations. Or sitting at a cafe, reading a book without worrying about the price of the cup in my hand. Sometimes I even dream about a future where I'm financially stable, where I can breathe freely, where I'm not counting pennies just to get by. But those dreams feel distant. I don't know how to make them real. I feel like I'm stuck in a loop, doing everything I can to survive, but with no real progress. The economic environment is brutal, and every day it feels like the world is getting more expensive. Gas prices are up again. Rent is rising faster than my paycheck. I don't know how people are affording anything anymore. The hardest part isn't the sacrifice. It's the uncertainty. The feeling of being trapped in a system that keeps growing more expensive while my income stays the same, if not worse. It's the constant fear that one misstep, one unexpected expense, could send everything crashing down. A medical bill. A car repair. A broken phone. These things, once small irritations, now feel like potential disasters. And that's what makes it harder to breathe. The fear of not having control, of not knowing what's next. I don't even know what I'm working toward anymore. I don't know how to fix this. I've applied to other jobs, but nothing ever pans out. I've tried cutting back, but there's not much more I can cut. There's no magic solution, no easy fix. It feels like I'm stuck in a maze with no way out. I try to remind myself that I'm not alone in this. I know so many others are struggling too. The economy is tough on everyone. The system is rigged to keep us in this constant state of stress, always trying to stay afloat. And I know it's not my fault. I know that. But it doesn't make the weight any lighter. Sometimes, when I'm feeling really low, I remind myself that I'm still here. That I've made it this far. And in those moments, I tell myself that maybe surviving is the victory. Maybe getting through each day is enough. But some days, it's hard to feel that way. Some days, it feels like I'm losing. It feels like I'm falling further behind with every step I take. But I keep going. Because what else is there to do? Maybe one day, things will get better. Maybe the world will change. Maybe, if I keep working hard, I'll find a way out of this maze. I hope so, anyway. But for now, I'll keep doing what I can. I'll keep fighting, even when it feels like the system is stacked against me. Because I refuse to let it win. And maybe that's all I can do for now. Keep going. Keep dreaming. Even when it feels like I'm trapped. I'm not giving up. Not yet. The weight of it all hits me as soon as I wake up. The soft buzz of my phone, signaling the start of another day, isn't the usual morning alarm, it's the reminder of everything I'm trying not to think about. Rent's due in a few days. The electricity bill is already higher than I expected. My student loan payment is coming up, and I still haven't been able to save any money for the things I thought I'd be able to afford by now. A couple of months ago, I was excited. I thought I was finally getting ahead. Now, every step forward feels like it's just pushing me deeper into a hole. I know I'm not alone in this, everyone around me seems to be struggling in some way, but sometimes it feels like I'm the only one who can't keep my head above water. I remember a time, not too long ago, when I thought adulthood would come with more freedom. More choices. I'd be able to travel, maybe buy a small place, or even treat myself without feeling guilty about it. But now, I'm just trying to survive. Every decision feels like it has weight, like every dollar matters. I get out of bed, trying to shake off the heaviness in my chest. The first thing I do is check my bank account, knowing full well that seeing those numbers will do nothing to ease the feeling of dread sitting in my stomach. It's always the same, barely enough to make it through the week, but never enough to get ahead. After rent, utilities, and food, it feels like there's nothing left to give. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and it's suffocating. I get dressed, a task I've come to dread because, every morning, I'm reminded of how little I can afford. I used to love shopping for clothes, feeling like I was putting together outfits that made me feel good, made me feel like I was someone who had it together. Now, the thought of spending money on anything that's not essential makes my stomach turn. I wear the same old things, rotating between a handful of outfits, trying to make them feel fresh. It's exhausting, but it's what I have to do. I leave the apartment, locking the door behind me. It's funny, when I moved into this place, I thought it would be a stepping stone to something better. But now, it feels like a cage. The rent is too high for what I'm getting, but I can't move. There's nowhere else I can afford. I don't know how people are supposed to get ahead in this world when it feels like everything is rigged against you. When I look at my friends, it's the same story. Some are working multiple jobs, others are barely scraping by, and none of us can seem to catch a break. We all complain to each other, but there's never a solution. It's like we're all just stuck in this cycle of trying to survive. I get to work, and the pressure doesn't ease up. I'm grateful for the job, I know some people don't even have that, but it's a constant reminder of just how little control I have over my own life. I work long hours, but the pay barely covers the basics. When I first started, I thought I'd be able to climb the ladder. But after a year, I'm still at the same spot. The economy keeps shifting, and the company keeps cutting back. Every meeting is filled with vague promises and empty words. There's no future here, at least not one that I can rely on. Lunchtime comes, and I have to decide if I should spend the $10 to buy a meal at work or eat the granola bar I brought with me. It's a small decision, but it carries weight because I know that $10 means one less thing I can pay for later. Sometimes I skip meals entirely, just so I can stretch what little money I have left. It's not healthy, but it's survival. In the evening, I come home, mentally and physically drained. I tell myself I'll start working on the things I've been postponing, looking for a new job, trying to find some side hustle, maybe even starting to save a little. But the truth is, I don't have the energy. I'm exhausted by the constant pressure. I just want to collapse on the couch and zone out for a while. My dreams, of a better life, of travel, of owning something that's truly mine, feel like they belong to someone else. Like they're too far out of reach, and no matter how hard I try, I'll never be able to grasp them. I think about the future, about what's ahead, and there's this looming sense of hopelessness. I don't know how to plan for tomorrow when today feels like such a struggle. I can't even picture myself in 5 years. Will I still be in this same apartment, scraping by, hoping for some miracle? Will I still be working the same job, with no progress to show for it? The thought is suffocating. Sometimes, I look at my social media feeds and see people posting pictures from trips they're taking, or celebrations they're having, and I feel this pang of envy. They look so carefree, so happy. I know that's probably not the whole picture, but it's hard not to feel left behind. Everyone else seems to be getting ahead, while I'm stuck, running in place, watching the world move around me. I try to tell myself that it's just a phase, that eventually things will get better. But every time I see the prices at the grocery store rising, or hear about rent hikes, I feel that hope slip away a little more. It's hard to stay optimistic when the cost of living keeps going up, and wages are stagnant. It's hard to dream of a better future when the reality of today feels like a constant battle. And yet, I keep going. I wake up every day, even when I don't want to. I keep putting one foot in front of the other, even though I can't see the path ahead. I don't know what else to do. Maybe it's foolish to think that things will improve. But I can't give up hope completely, even if it feels like hope is all I have left. It's not much, but it's something. Maybe one day, I'll look back on this and realize that the struggles were just part of getting to where I need to be. Maybe I'll find a way out of this mess. Maybe, one day, I'll finally get to the point where I can breathe again. Until then, I keep fighting. One step at a time. It's strange how the smallest things can feel like the biggest weight when you're living paycheck to paycheck. I wake up each day with a tight knot in my stomach, knowing I'm about to face a day where every decision feels like it has huge consequences. Should I spend $5 on a coffee to keep myself awake at work, or should I save that for gas? Is it worth paying the extra fee to get groceries delivered, or should I drag myself through the store, already exhausted before I even get there? The choices are always the same: comfort today, or worry tomorrow? I've never been the kind of person to live extravagantly, but lately, it feels like no matter how much I try to keep things simple, life keeps throwing more costs at me. My rent went up, again. That's a monthly adjustment I can't ignore, especially since it's already 30% of my income. Every bill feels like a reminder of my failure to escape this cycle. I've spent hours trying to figure out how to cut back, but the reality is, I'm already doing everything I can. I don't go out with friends anymore. I don't buy new clothes. I don't even get takeout on weekends to reward myself for making it through another work week. And yet, at the end of each month, there's still not enough. I feel like I'm treading water, but instead of getting closer to the shore, I'm getting pulled farther into an ocean that keeps rising. It's terrifying how fast the costs of living are increasing, while my paycheck stays the same. I've always told myself I just need to work harder, but at what point does working harder not make enough of a difference? Every extra shift feels like an attempt to get a little ahead, but all I do is fall further behind. I used to have big dreams about my future, about buying a house, traveling, starting a family. But those dreams feel so distant now, buried under the weight of every financial concern. I'm exhausted. Physically and emotionally drained. I spend so much of my energy just trying to keep up with the basics that I have nothing left to invest in myself. I've had to put everything on pause: my career plans, my desire to go back to school, the things I've always wanted to experience. All of those hopes are now pushed to the back of my mind, replaced by a daily battle to make sure I don't fall deeper into debt. The more I look at the numbers, the more I feel like I'm losing control. There's an emotional toll to this that I don't think people fully understand. It's not just about money, it's about how it affects my confidence, my sense of self-worth. I've had friends ask me to hang out, go on trips, or even just grab a drink, but I always make excuses. How can I explain that I can't afford to take a day off work? That I can't spend money on something as simple as a night out because I'm already stretching my dollars so thin? I hate that I have to make excuses. I hate that I've become someone who can't say yes, even to the things that are supposed to bring joy. It's isolating. What really stings is that I know I'm not alone in this. Everyone I know is struggling, but it feels like no one wants to talk about it. So we pretend. We post pictures on social media showing happy moments, sharing our accomplishments, and trying to give off the impression that everything is fine. But behind closed doors, we're all just scraping by, putting on a mask so we don't have to face the uncomfortable truth that the system isn't working for any of us. The economy is set up in such a way that we're not just expected to work harder, we're expected to take on more, to do more, to be more, all while wages stagnate and costs soar. And even though we all know this is the reality, It feels like we're the ones to blame for not keeping up. I think about my future, but the future is hard to imagine when every day feels like survival. There's no room for dreaming when you're constantly stressed about making sure the rent gets paid, the bills get settled, and that you can feed yourself without falling into credit card debt. I want to be able to plan, to have the freedom to choose a career I love, to go back to school and improve myself, but every path I consider is blocked by this financial burden. I've tried to talk to family and friends about it, but it's hard to explain that the weight I'm carrying isn't just about money, it's about the endless fear that I'll never get out of this trap. There are nights when I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what I could be doing if money weren't such a barrier. Maybe I'd go back to school to get a degree in something I'm passionate about, or maybe I'd start a small business. Maybe I'd buy a car that actually runs reliably, or maybe I'd just take a weekend off to recharge and not feel guilty about it. But every thought is tinged with the reality that none of it is possible in the near future. Everything I want to do, everything I dream of doing, requires money. And right now, I can't afford to dream. It's hard to maintain hope when you feel like you're working your hardest and getting nowhere. But every day I wake up, I put on my shoes, I get out the door, and I go to work. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this, but I keep telling myself that it will get better. I have to believe that there's a way out, even if I don't see it yet. But some days, I wonder if there's more to life than this endless grind. Maybe one day I'll get the chance to stop worrying about the next paycheck. Maybe one day I'll get to the point where I don't have to calculate every single expense to the penny. Maybe one day my dreams won't feel so far out of reach. Until then, I'll keep moving forward, one day at a time. It's like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, and no matter how fast I try to go, the distance ahead never gets any shorter. That's how it feels, every day, every hour, this constant, grinding pressure. I'm 24, living in a city that's way too expensive for someone my age to even consider a comfortable life, but I have no other option. The rent's due, the bills stack up, and the world keeps spinning, but I'm stuck, watching it all from the sidelines. I wake up every morning with a pit in my stomach, the same anxiety that hits me the moment I open my eyes. The first thing I do is check my bank account. It's always the same, a few $100s left after the automatic deductions, and a countdown to the next paycheck that feels both too far away and yet somehow too soon. I don't even remember what it's like to feel financially stable, or to not worry about whether I can make it to the next month without juggling bills or borrowing from someone else. I used to dream big, you know? I thought by now I'd have at least a little bit of freedom, a sense of security. But I'm not even close. I work 2 jobs, sometimes 3, just to keep things together. I've been telling myself for months now that it's just a phase, something I'll get through, like a tough spot that's just temporary. But every time I feel like I've caught my breath, something else comes up. A tire blows out. The electric bill doubles. Rent goes up again, and I'm still in the same place. The economy feels like a storm, and I'm just standing here, trying to hold on to my umbrella. I see everyone else online, posting their vacations, their new clothes, their expensive gadgets. It hurts. Not because I'm envious, but because I feel this quiet shame, like I'm not measuring up, even though I'm trying as hard as I can. I scroll through those posts, and for a brief moment, I think about how different my life could be. If I had a little more money, a little less debt, if I didn't have to watch every single cent. But the truth is, I can't even imagine what life would be like without that constant worry. It's hard to even dream sometimes because the dreams I had before seem so far out of reach. I wanted to travel, to start my own business, to buy my own place. Now, I barely have enough money to buy groceries. Every decision feels like it's in survival mode, not something I get to choose freely. I don't tell people this. I can't. I smile when they ask how I'm doing, or I tell them it's fine, just busy. What else can I say? No one really wants to hear about the stress of being underpaid and overworked, the anxiety that comes with knowing you might have to skip a bill this month or make a hard choice between putting gas in the car or eating lunch. I've stopped trying to explain it to my parents. They think I'm still figuring things out, and I guess, in a way, I am. But what they don't understand is that it's not about figuring it out anymore, it's about staying afloat in a system that feels like it's rigged. Some days are better than others. There are moments when I catch myself, sitting on the bus or walking to work, and I try to remember what life was like before all this. It feels like it was a different version of me, one who had hope, one who believed in the possibility of something better. Sometimes, I think about how easy it used to be to get excited about a future that seemed attainable. A future where I could save, invest, own a home, take vacations. I wonder when it all became so out of reach. The worst part, though, is how the constant strain has started to erode my sense of self-worth. I find myself questioning my abilities, my value. If I was better at managing my time, my finances, if I worked harder, maybe I'd be able to make more money. But the truth is, I'm already working as hard as I can. There's no time left to hustle harder. I've heard people talk about side gigs, about turning passion projects into profitable businesses, but that feels so far away from my reality. I've got no time for passion projects. What I need is to make rent and feed myself. There's this mental exhaustion that comes with this kind of living, a kind of fog that never quite lifts. Some days I feel completely disconnected from everything around me. I sit down to dinner alone, and I can't even enjoy the meal because I'm thinking about how much it costs. I'll go out with friends and have to keep track of every drink I order, every bite of food. I can't let myself lose track of the cost, because the consequences are too real. And yet, somehow, I'm still holding on to hope. I guess that's the thing. It's easy to lose sight of dreams when you're struggling so hard to survive, but there's always a part of me that refuses to give up. I keep telling myself that one day things will change. That someday, I'll find a way out of this grind. But I also know that the longer I'm in this, the more it starts to feel like a trap. I can't imagine a future where I'm not drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make things work. I want to break free. I want to live in a world where my hard work equals something more than just getting by. But for now, I just keep moving forward. Every day, I try to hold on to the small victories, finding a way to save a little bit of money here, negotiating a better deal on a bill there, taking a few moments each day to remind myself that I'm not a failure just because I haven't figured it all out yet. Some days are better than others. Some days, the weight of it all feels like too much. But I keep going. Maybe that's all I can do right now, just keep going. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever make it out of this hole. But I have to believe it's possible. Because if I stop believing, then what's the point of all this? I wake up every morning to the sound of my alarm buzzing in my ear. It's always the same, a jarring reminder that another day has arrived, and with it, the weight of everything I'm trying to keep afloat. I stare at the ceiling for a while, trying to gather the energy to get out of bed. The room is dim, and it feels like the quiet only amplifies the noise inside my head. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about money. More than I ever thought I would at this age. It's not something that used to consume me. When I was younger, I used to think money wasn't everything, that if I worked hard enough, everything else would just fall into place. But now, every decision I make, from what I eat to whether or not I can afford a night out, is influenced by one simple, unforgiving truth: I don't have enough. I take a deep breath and roll out of bed, stretching like I'm trying to shake the exhaustion out of my bones. I grab my phone and check the notifications, bills. The monthly reminder of how much I still owe. A student loan payment. Credit card charges from last month's rent. The electricity bill, which keeps creeping up every time it gets colder. Each notification feels like a punch to the gut. There's always this undercurrent of panic. I try not to let the anxiety spiral out of control, but it's hard. The economy is a mess, and everyone around me feels it. Things aren't getting better. Everything costs more: gas, groceries, rent. I've been stuck in the same job for over a year now, and even though I'm putting in more hours, my paycheck barely moves. I had hopes of advancing, but every time I ask for a raise, I'm reminded of how many others are just as desperate for work, how many others are willing to take my place if I don't comply with their terms. The thought of leaving for a better opportunity feels more like a gamble than a possibility. I walk into the kitchen, open the fridge, and it's mostly empty. A few eggs, some lettuce that's wilting in the crisper, a few cans of beans. I'm not starving, but I'm not eating well either. I make some toast and scramble the eggs. I don't have time to cook a nice meal. There's always something to do, bills to pay, emails to answer, things to worry about. I barely have time to sit down and enjoy a meal without wondering if I'm going to have enough to last through the rest of the month. I tell myself I'll be fine, that it's just temporary, that things will turn around soon. But I've been saying that for years. Every time I think it's going to get better, it just doesn't. I wonder if I'm just not trying hard enough. Maybe I should pick up a second job, work weekends, push myself harder. But when would I sleep? When would I breathe? I finish eating, grab my coat, and head out the door. The world feels like it's moving faster than I can keep up with. On my walk to work, I pass by stores with windows full of things I'll never be able to afford. A new jacket, a shiny phone, a trendy pair of shoes. I try not to look at them, but it's hard not to feel a twinge of jealousy. I know it's not about what I have or don't have, but it feels like everyone else is doing better. Everyone else is ahead. They don't seem to be struggling in the same way. At work, I sit at my desk, staring at my computer screen. I'm answering emails, filling out reports, doing what I can to stay busy, but my mind keeps drifting. I think about the future, or what's left of it. I thought by now I'd be in a better place. I imagined having a little more freedom, being able to travel, take risks, make choices without constantly worrying about how I'll make ends meet. But every decision feels like a calculation. Can I afford this? Do I really need that? Should I wait another month before making a big purchase, or should I just keep putting it off forever? The hardest part isn't just the pressure. It's the isolation. I don't talk about money with my friends. I'm embarrassed. They're all doing their own things, living their lives, and I feel like I'm stuck. I'm not the kind of person who wants to admit that I'm struggling. It's too much to ask for help, too much to explain how I feel like I'm suffocating. Even when I do talk to my friends about it, they don't seem to fully understand. Most of them have parents who help them out or a cushion to fall back on. I don't have that. I used to dream about the future. I wanted to go back to school, start my own business, travel the world. But those dreams feel so far away now. Every time I get close to something, it slips through my fingers like sand. I've had to postpone everything. I've had to let go of things that used to mean so much to me. It's like the constant battle to survive has made it impossible to thrive. I've traded ambition for security, and I wonder if I'll ever get to have both. The cycle feels endless. I finish work, get home, and start the process all over again. I pay what I can, let the rest pile up, and hope that tomorrow will bring something better. But tomorrow always feels the same. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. I feel like I'm on the edge, teetering between trying to stay afloat and giving up. But even though everything feels impossible right now, there's this small part of me that refuses to give in. It's buried deep down, but it's there. I know I have to keep going. I have to believe that one day, things will change. Maybe the economy will shift, maybe I'll get a break, maybe I'll find a way to get ahead. I can't let go of that hope, even though it's fragile. Every time I feel myself getting swallowed by the weight of it all, I remind myself that I'm not alone. We're all in this together. People my age, all around the world, are feeling the same way. I see it in their faces, hear it in their conversations. We're all doing the best we can, even when it doesn't feel like enough. And maybe that's all we can do. Keep trying. Keep fighting. I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and remind myself that this is just one chapter. Maybe it's a hard chapter, but it's not the end of the story. Tomorrow is another chance to get closer to something better. Maybe I won't be able to change everything all at once, but if I keep moving forward, I'll get there eventually. I just have to keep believing that there's something beyond this pressure, beyond these struggles. Maybe one day, I'll look back on this and see how far I've come. For now, I'll keep going. Because there's no other choice. I wake up every morning with a tight knot in my stomach. The kind of knot that's been there for months, maybe longer, but somehow seems to grow tighter every day. It's the same feeling I get when I check my bank account, realizing that the rent is due, the credit card bills are due, and the little bit of savings I had is slowly vanishing. I know exactly how much is in my account right now. I can almost feel the weight of it, small numbers that seem to evaporate the second I blink. I don't know what I expected when I graduated from college. I guess I thought that after all the studying, the sleepless nights, the anxiety about assignments, I'd finally be able to take a breath. I'd have a decent job, a career to build, and life would feel manageable. But here I am, a year and a half later, struggling. I found a job, sure. It's not a bad one. But every month feels like a fight just to stay afloat. The thing is, I try to be responsible. I don't buy things I don't need. I rarely go out with friends anymore because I just can't afford it. If I'm being honest, I've stopped doing a lot of things I used to enjoy. I can't remember the last time I went to a concert or took a weekend trip somewhere. I tell myself I'll do those things once I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. But at this point, I can't even see the end of the tunnel. I can't see a time when I won't be worried about how to pay my bills or what I'll do when an unexpected expense pops up. It's like everything is increasing except my income. Rent goes up. Grocery prices skyrocket. My student loan payment is a weight on my shoulders I can never shake off. I tell myself that I'll be okay, that it'll work out. But some days, it feels impossible. I don't know if this is how everyone feels, but it feels like I'm stuck in this never-ending loop where the bills keep coming, and my paycheck stays the same. I've tried everything. I cut back on little luxuries, coffee, takeout, those occasional nights out. I stopped buying new clothes even when my old ones are falling apart. I picked up side jobs, hoping the extra cash will make a difference. But every time I think I'm getting ahead, something else takes it all away. My car broke down last week, and I had to use the little savings I had left to fix it. The refrigerator broke last month. It's like life is throwing me curveballs that I can't afford to dodge. The hardest part is feeling like I've failed. People my age are buying homes, getting engaged, going on vacations. Meanwhile, I'm over here counting the days until payday, making sure I have enough for gas, for food, for the bare minimum. I try not to compare myself to others, but it's hard not to. Social media doesn't help either. It's like everyone else's life is moving forward, and I'm stuck in this loop of stress and worry. Everyone's out there living the dream, while I'm just trying to survive. It's not just the financial pressure that gets to me. It's the emotional weight. There are days when I feel like I'm letting everyone down. My family, my friends, myself. I don't know if they can see it, but I feel it every day. When I can't contribute to a group dinner or when I cancel plans because I can't afford a drink or a movie ticket, it stings. I don't want to be the person who always says no. I don't want to feel like I'm missing out, but I also don't want to feel like I'm drowning in debt just for the sake of temporary enjoyment. I try to remind myself that I'm doing the best I can. That this is just a phase, and things will get better. But there's no certainty in that. I see people around me who have financial security, who don't have to think twice about buying something they want, and it's hard not to feel envious. But at the same time, I feel guilty for feeling that way. I know there are people who are worse off than me. I try to keep perspective, but it's hard to do when your whole day is filled with constant reminders of what you don't have. The worst part is how my dreams feel so far out of reach. I want to travel. I want to go back to school and get my master's degree. I want to have a career that excites me, not just one that pays the bills. But every time I try to make plans, I'm faced with the harsh reality that I can't afford it. My dreams feel like they belong to someone else, someone with a bigger paycheck, someone who doesn't have to worry about how much they're spending at the grocery store. And I hate it. I hate that I've had to put everything on hold. My career aspirations, my passions, my hopes for the future. They all seem so distant now, buried under the weight of daily survival. I tell myself that I'll get there eventually, that one day things will change, but that hope feels like a faint light in the distance. Right now, I don't know how to reach it. Some days, I wonder if this is just the way life is meant to be. Maybe it's just part of being an adult, working hard, struggling, getting by. But that doesn't make it any easier. I want more than this. I want to thrive, not just survive. I want to feel like my hard work is leading me somewhere. But right now, I just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I keep working, keep trying to save, keep hoping that someday, somehow, I'll catch a break. And maybe that's all I can do. Keep going, even when it feels impossible. I wake up every morning with the same heaviness in my chest. It's like I've been carrying a bag of bricks around for years, but each day the weight feels a little bit heavier. The first thing I do is check my phone. Not for messages or notifications, but for my bank balance. It's become a ritual now, one I don't know how to break. The numbers never look good. Even after another night of restless sleep, worrying about bills I can't pay and things I don't know how I'll afford, those numbers remind me that I'm trapped. I don't know when it started exactly, when my life began to feel like I was running in place, getting nowhere. Maybe it was when rent started climbing faster than my paycheck. Maybe it was when gas prices went up, and suddenly every trip to the store felt like an investment in my survival rather than just a simple errand. Or maybe it was when I realized I was making all the right decisions, doing everything I was supposed to do, and still coming up short. I graduated college 2 years ago with big dreams. I thought the world was wide open for me, full of possibilities. I had a decent job lined up, one that I thought would lead to a future where I could finally stop living paycheck to paycheck. The reality hit fast. The first paycheck, I remember, felt like freedom. But that feeling vanished so quickly. There was rent. There were student loans. There was gas. There were groceries. Every time I paid a bill, it felt like my soul was slowly being drained, the light dimming more each time. The numbers on my bank statement never match up with the bills that pile up on the counter. It's a constant disconnect, a constant feeling of not being able to catch up, no matter how hard I work. Even now, sitting here in my cramped apartment, I can't help but think about all the things I've had to give up. I don't buy clothes anymore, not unless it's absolutely necessary. That trendy jacket I saw online last week? Forget it. I'll wait until the next paycheck to buy the bare minimum I need to get through the month. I don't go out with friends anymore. I used to love grabbing drinks after work or going to see a movie on a Friday night. But those little joys? They've become luxuries I can't afford. Socializing now feels like a reminder of how I'm falling behind. I've learned to say no, even when I want to say yes, because the truth is, I'm scared. I'm scared of the future, of getting deeper into debt, of being trapped in a system that never gives you room to breathe. The emotional toll this takes is worse than the physical exhaustion of working long hours. There's a constant hum of anxiety in my chest, like a low-grade fever I can't shake. I try to tell myself that it'll get better, that I just need to hold on a little longer. But that optimism has started to feel like a lie. How can it get better when everything just keeps getting more expensive? When rent goes up every year, but salaries don't? When the cost of living grows, but the hope of catching up doesn't? I've gotten used to the mental gymnastics I do every time I'm about to make a decision. Do I fill up my gas tank today, or wait until next week? Do I buy the groceries I need now, or will I make do with what's left in the pantry? Do I eat out because I'm too tired to cook, or do I stretch my last few dollars so I can afford something for next week? There's always a calculation in my head, always a part of me that's making sure I don't stretch myself too thin. It's exhausting, this constant juggling act. Every day feels like a game of survival. I try to tell myself I'm doing the best I can, but it's hard to feel proud of that when every effort seems like a drop in the ocean. I've stopped thinking about the future in terms of dreams and possibilities. I've started thinking about it in terms of survival. Will I still be here in a year? Will I ever have a job that pays enough to not feel like I'm drowning? I used to think about buying a house one day, maybe getting a dog, having a family. But now? I don't even know if I'll be able to afford a new pair of shoes without feeling guilty. I don't talk about it much with anyone. People don't get it. They say things like, "You'll figure it out," or "It's tough, but everyone's going through it." But they don't see the sleepless nights or the dread that creeps in when I open my bank account and see another fee, another unexpected expense. They don't see the pressure I feel to keep up appearances at work, to smile through the panic when I'm asked if I'm okay. I'm not okay. I'm tired. I'm scared. But I don't want to burden anyone with that. So, I keep it inside. I keep it locked up. I've had to put off so many dreams. Traveling, for example, used to be a big thing for me. I had a map on my wall in college with pins for all the places I wanted to visit. I thought, one day, I'd make it to Europe or Asia, see the world. Now, I can't even afford a weekend getaway. The map is still on the wall, but the pins are gathering dust. Sometimes I walk past it and think about what could have been. But there's no room for those kinds of dreams right now. I have to focus on the now, the bills that need to be paid, the work that needs to be done, the next step to avoid falling deeper into the hole I'm already in. Sometimes, I wonder how long I can keep this up. The hustle, the constant trying, the pretending everything's okay. Sometimes, I wonder if anyone else feels as trapped as I do. I don't think I'm alone in this. I think there are millions of people like me, young adults trying to figure out how to make it in a world that seems to demand more than we can give. We're told to work hard, to pursue our passions, to climb the ladder, but the ladder keeps getting higher and the rungs keep slipping out of reach. I wish I had a clear path forward, some kind of answer, but I don't. All I know is that I have to keep moving. I have to keep pushing through each day, even when I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Maybe, one day, things will change. Maybe, one day, I'll be able to breathe again. But right now, all I can do is hold on. So, that's what I'll do. I'll keep holding on. Hey, friends! If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. It's 7:30 a.m., and my alarm blares for the third time. I didn't sleep much last night, again. My mind was racing, like it always is when I know that another month is slipping away and the bills are coming. I roll over and check my phone, half hoping for some miracle, some unexpected deposit, some windfall, something. But, of course, nothing. Another day of barely scraping by. I drag myself out of bed, my eyes heavy, body sore, and a little defeated. The first thing I do is check my bank account. I already know it's going to be low, but I can't help it. It's like some sick routine I have, hoping that maybe I missed something, a tax refund, a random refund for a purchase I forgot about. But it's empty. Even less than I expected. Again. Breakfast is a cup of coffee, maybe I'll eat later if I can squeeze it in. I've gotten used to skipping meals when things are tight. It's not ideal, but it's the only way to make sure I can pay for rent, utilities, and the mountain of student loan payments that never seem to shrink. The truth is, I've been stuck in this cycle for a while now. Every time I think I'm starting to get ahead, something unexpected comes up. An emergency expense, a medical bill, or a car repair that just can't wait. The economy feels like a weight, crushing down on me, and there's nowhere to push it off. By the time I head out the door, I'm already tired. I don't even have the energy to feel excited about anything anymore. The drive to work is the same as always, traffic, frustration, and a little voice in the back of my head reminding me that I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Every day I ask myself if this is what it's supposed to feel like. I work hard. I do everything I can. But it doesn't seem to matter. It's like no matter how much I hustle, the world keeps running faster than I can keep up. At work, it's more of the same. I'm putting in my time, staying focused, and doing the tasks assigned to me, but my mind is always a little elsewhere. I'm thinking about the bills coming due, the credit card balance that keeps creeping up, and the terrifying thought of being one emergency away from disaster. There's no room for mistakes. No room to breathe. Every extra penny goes toward surviving today. It feels like I'm stuck in this rat race, running just to stay in place. Lunchtime rolls around, and I pack a sandwich I made the night before, trying to stretch the groceries as far as they'll go. I glance around at my coworkers, most of them talking about their plans for the weekend, discussing vacations, or talking about the things they bought, new shoes, new phones, new whatever. And I can't help but feel a little bitter. They don't know what it's like to live in this constant state of scarcity. I've learned to hide it, to put on a brave face, but it eats at me. I dream of the things they talk about, the vacations, the meals out, the freedom to spend without worrying about the consequences. But I know that's not my reality. Not right now. I tell myself that I'll get there one day, that I'll get through this. But I wonder if that day will ever come. The older I get, the harder it is to believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Every year, things get more expensive, wages don't rise fast enough, and there's always something else demanding attention. Some people are fortunate enough to have a safety net, but I don't. I don't have a backup plan. And it's exhausting. It's not just the money, either. It's the emotional toll this constant pressure takes on me. There are days when I feel like I'm drowning, and I can't tell anyone about it. What would they say? Just keep going. You'll get there. Or worse, well, everyone's struggling. It's just the way it is. That doesn't help. It doesn't make the stress go away, and it doesn't make the bills any smaller. Some days, I feel like I'm so wrapped up in surviving that I've forgotten how to live. And then, there's the fear. The fear that I'll never be able to buy a house, that I'll never have the security I always thought was guaranteed. I remember when I was younger, I had these big dreams. I wanted to travel, see the world, and make a difference. I imagined a future where I wasn't just scraping by, where I had savings, where I could plan ahead without panic setting in every time I checked my bank account. But now? Now, I'm not sure where that future went. I've had to let go of so many dreams just to survive. I don't think I'll ever be able to travel the way I imagined, not unless something changes. Maybe I'll never own a house. Maybe I'll never have the financial freedom to not worry about how I'm going to pay my rent or buy groceries next month. I used to think those things were possible, but it feels like the world has changed. Or maybe it's just that I've been hit with the reality of what it takes to get ahead in this economy. The pressure of it all is suffocating. It's hard to plan for a future when you're stuck in the present, just trying to make ends meet. There's no space to dream anymore, not the way I used to. All I think about is the next bill, the next paycheck, and whether it's going to be enough. And on the rare occasions when I do have a little extra money, maybe from a side gig or some overtime, it's never enough to make up for everything I've fallen behind on. It's like trying to fill a hole that never stops growing. Still, I try to push through. I remind myself that things could be worse. I have a job, I have a place to live, and I'm not starving. That's something, right? But even so, the emotional weight of constantly being on the edge is hard to ignore. The stress lingers, like a shadow that follows me everywhere I go. And what about the future? The thought of it makes my chest tighten. I want to believe it's going to get better, that I'll figure it out, but the fear of always being stuck in this cycle is real. Sometimes, I think about the things I wanted to do with my life, write, travel, start a business, but every time I try to imagine it, it feels like I'm building castles in the air. I can't even make enough to live comfortably, let alone take risks or invest in a dream. I don't know where things are headed. Maybe they'll get better, maybe they won't. I keep hoping that one day, the economy will change, or I'll find a way to make more money, or something will click. But for now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. Some days, that's all I can do. Just breathe, take it one day at a time, and hope that somehow, eventually, the weight will lift. Maybe tomorrow will be a little easier, maybe not. But I'll keep going. I have to. I wake up every morning with a heavy feeling in my chest. It's not the kind of tiredness that a good night's sleep can fix. No, it's a constant, gnawing pressure that follows me around all day. It starts the moment I open my eyes, and it doesn't let up until I close them again at night. It's the weight of living paycheck to paycheck, of constantly wondering how I'm going to make ends meet, of never quite feeling like I'm getting ahead. I graduated college 2 years ago, full of hope. The world was my oyster, or at least, that's what I'd been told. I had a degree, I had ambition, I had dreams of a fulfilling career and a comfortable life. But somewhere along the way, those dreams got lost. The reality of student loans, rent, utilities, groceries, and car payments hit me harder than I ever expected. I remember thinking, it's just the beginning. Once I get my feet under me, things will get better. But I've found that as I take one step forward, I get pushed 2 steps back. The hardest part isn't just the bills. It's the feeling that everything is getting more expensive while my income stays the same. Rent keeps going up, food prices are higher every time I go to the store, and everything seems to cost more. I look at my paycheck, and it's barely enough to cover the basics. I'm doing everything I can, cutting back on anything that isn't essential, skipping meals to save a few bucks, trying to sell off old things to get a little extra cash, but it never feels like it's enough. It's never enough. Sometimes I think about how much easier life would be if I could just not worry. I'm constantly anxious. I've stopped doing so many things I used to enjoy because I can't afford them. I used to love going to the movies or grabbing dinner with friends, but those things are luxuries now. Now I spend my weekends at home, not because I want to, but because I can't afford to go out. I try to make up excuses for not going out, how I'm tired, or I've got too much work to do, but the truth is, I just can't justify spending money I don't have. I watch my friends post about vacations on Instagram, or talk about buying new clothes or upgrading their apartments, and I can't help but feel this deep, sinking feeling. Why can't I do that? Why am I still struggling, while everyone else seems to have it figured out? I hate the jealousy I feel, even though I know I shouldn't. It's not their fault that they have financial freedom. I want to be happy for them, but it's hard when I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of bills and responsibilities. The hardest thing is knowing that I can't afford the things I once dreamed about. I used to picture myself traveling the world, maybe living in a different city, doing work that felt meaningful and exciting. Now I look at those dreams and wonder if they'll ever come true. I wanted to take a trip to Europe this year. I even started to plan it, but then reality set in. I looked at the cost of flights, accommodations, and food, and I realized I would have to work an entire month just to pay for a week away. That dream slipped further and further out of reach, and I hate the feeling of giving up on it, even if it's just for now. It's not just about the things I can't do, though. It's also about how much I've had to push aside. I had plans to go back to school and get my master's degree, but that's been on hold for a while. Every time I think about it, I wonder how I could possibly afford it. I want to invest in myself, but right now, I can barely invest in food. The hardest part is the mental toll it takes. I get so exhausted from constantly thinking about money. Every decision I make is based on whether or not I can afford it. A coffee? I check my balance before deciding. A trip to the store for toiletries? I weigh whether it's worth the expense. A new shirt I don't really need? I pass. It's exhausting, and sometimes it feels like I'm trapped. I've tried to cope by distracting myself. I'll binge-watch TV shows or scroll endlessly through social media just to shut off my brain for a while. It doesn't fix the problem, but for a few hours, it dulls the constant worry. Sometimes I just take long walks, hoping the physical exertion will help clear my head. But as soon as I get back home, it all comes rushing back. The debt, the bills, the feeling that I'm not living up to what I thought I'd be. Some days, I feel like a failure. I've worked so hard to get here, and yet, I'm still stuck. I've read the advice, cut back on lattes, cancel subscriptions, find a side hustle. but I've already done that. I've already made sacrifices, already tried to hustle more. And it still doesn't feel like enough. I'm doing all the right things, but the world is moving faster than I am. I try to remind myself that I'm doing my best. That maybe this is just part of the journey. I try to remind myself that I'm young, that I still have time to figure things out, but it's hard to keep believing that when every day feels like a struggle. I know there are others in my position, and I know I'm not alone in this, but it doesn't always make it easier. I keep telling myself that it's temporary, that this is just a phase, but I wonder how long that phase will last. Some days, I dream of a future where I'm not stressing over every penny. I dream of being able to take a trip just because I want to, of paying down my debt and building my savings. But for now, I just take it day by day. I keep pushing forward, even when it feels like I'm not getting anywhere. I hope that one day, I'll look back at this and know that I made it through, that all this struggle meant something. Until then, I just keep going. I have to. Some mornings I wake up, already exhausted. The alarm goes off, and before I even open my eyes, I feel it, the weight. It's not physical, but it's there, pressing down on me, making my chest tight. I lie there for a few moments, trying to gather myself, but the moment I open my eyes, it hits me again: bills, rent, groceries, gas. It feels like there's a constant list in my mind, an unending cycle of things I need to pay for, and no matter how hard I work, it never gets any easier. It's hard to explain what it's like, because on paper, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I'm working a full-time job in a field I studied for, doing the best I can to save a little here and there. But every month, I'm caught in this trap, where expenses rise faster than my income. Rent's gone up. Gas prices have soared. Even the basics, like food, cost more than they used to. I'll go to the grocery store, and by the time I check out, I'm always a little shocked at how little I actually got for the money I just spent. I'm 24. I should be looking forward to things, building my career, maybe saving for a house, getting my life together. But instead, I spend most of my time thinking about how to make ends meet. I've become an expert at stretching a dollar, at knowing which days I can skip a meal to save on groceries, or how much I can charge to my credit card before it becomes a real problem. Some days, I feel like I'm constantly on the verge of falling behind, like if I make one wrong move, I'll slip into a financial hole I can't crawl out of. I know it's not just me. Everyone says it's the economy, that things are harder for everyone. But that doesn't make it feel any less real. There are days when I'm sitting in my tiny apartment, staring at my bank account, and I just wonder, what's the point? I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my life, and yet every time I get paid, it feels like I'm still just barely keeping my head above water. The raises I get don't keep up with inflation, and the job market is competitive, so it's not like I can just go somewhere else for better pay. I try to keep a positive outlook. I tell myself that it's temporary. But it's hard to keep believing that when everything around me feels so uncertain. What's even harder is watching my friends. They seem to have it all figured out. They talk about their vacations, their new gadgets, their plans to buy houses. I've heard so many people talk about how they're saving for retirement, and I wonder, how do they do it? I've never even been able to put aside enough for an emergency fund. I try to remind myself that they might be struggling too, that it's just that they don't show it, but it's hard to feel like I'm falling behind when it seems like everyone else is moving ahead. I can't help but think about what I've had to give up. When I graduated from college, I had this idea of the future, what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be. I wanted to travel, to experience life outside of this small town. But that feels like a distant dream now. I had planned a trip to Europe, something I've always wanted to do, but I've had to keep postponing it. Every time I check ticket prices, I feel a sinking pit in my stomach. I can't even imagine paying for a flight, a hotel, and spending money on experiences. That dream, one that used to feel so attainable, is now just a fantasy. I also wanted to go back to school. I wanted to get my master's degree and advance in my field, but the thought of taking on more debt right now is terrifying. I don't want to end up buried under loans that I'll be paying off for the next 10 years. so I've put it on hold. Sometimes, when I think about it, I feel like I've failed. Not because I haven't achieved those things, but because I've had to put them aside just to survive. I can't help but wonder if I'll ever get to a place where I don't have to choose between paying bills and pursuing my dreams. I cope with it the best I can. Sometimes, it's small things, taking a walk to clear my mind, watching a show to escape for a while. Other times, it's just pushing through the exhaustion. I've gotten really good at compartmentalizing the stress, pretending it's not there until it comes crashing back when I'm alone. The anxiety never fully goes away, it just lingers in the background, waiting to resurface. And then there are the nights when I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this is just what life is now. But I try to remind myself that I'm not alone in this. I have friends and family who support me, even if they can't fully understand what it's like. And I have my health, my job, and my ability to keep going. So, I keep putting one foot in front of the other. I keep budgeting, I keep searching for ways to cut costs, I keep holding on to the hope that things will get better, even if it's hard to see how. Sometimes I think about what it would be like to just walk away from it all, to quit my job, sell everything, and go live somewhere else. But that's a fleeting thought, one that doesn't last long. I know I have responsibilities, and I can't just run away from them. Instead, I focus on the small victories, paying off a small debt, getting through a week without going over budget, having a good day at work. The truth is, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever get out from under this financial pressure, if I'll ever be able to afford the things I've dreamed about. But I keep going, because what else can I do? I just hope that someday, I'll look back at this and know that it was all worth it, that all these sacrifices were just stepping stones to a better future. But for now, I just take it one day at a time. I wake up to the sound of my alarm blaring, a shrill reminder that I have another day ahead of me. Another day of trying to stay afloat, of pretending everything's fine when it's anything but. The sun isn't even up yet, but my brain is already on overdrive, calculating how I'm going to make it through today. How I'm going to stretch my paycheck just a little bit further. How I'm going to make ends meet when every month feels like the walls are closing in a little more. The room is still dark as I reach over and silence my phone, then stare at the ceiling for a moment. I try to picture the life I thought I would have by now, being in a place where I'm not constantly worried about money, where I can do the things I want without second-guessing the price tag. It's a hard picture to hold on to when the reality of student loans, credit card debt, and rent are looming over me. I get up, pull on the clothes I wore yesterday, no point in overdoing it when I'm not going anywhere important, and stumble into the kitchen. A quick glance at my bank account app tells me exactly what I expected, nothing. I'm not surprised, but that doesn't make it any easier. It's always like this. I know I should have set aside more this month, but expenses keep piling up. The rent, the utilities, the insurance, there's always something that comes up, a sudden unexpected bill or an increase in my monthly subscription services, and it just keeps eating away at what little is left. As I make a cup of coffee, I try to ignore the gnawing anxiety that has been a constant companion for the past few years. It's not even that I don't have a job. I do. It's just that no matter how much I work, no matter how many extra hours I take on, it's never enough. Prices keep rising, and my salary, though decent, feels like a cruel joke. A few more dollars here, a few more there, and suddenly I'm behind on something else. It's as though the ground is shifting under my feet, and I'm constantly trying to catch up. I finish the coffee and grab my bag. The day starts, and it's all the same. I spend hours in front of my computer screen, plugging away at tasks that feel increasingly meaningless in the face of my financial pressure. I can't help but think about the friends who seem to have it all together, those who are buying houses, traveling, enjoying life in ways that seem so far out of reach for me. Sometimes I feel like I'm failing at this whole adulting thing. And it's not just the big expenses that are getting to me, it's the small ones too. The lunch I grab on the go because I didn't have time to make something at home. The gas I need to put in my car just to get to work. The last-minute necessity I have to buy, like new shoes because mine finally gave out after months of duct tape holding them together. All these little costs add up, and it feels like I'm constantly swimming just to stay above water. I try not to look at the bigger picture because the more I do, the more trapped I feel. It's so easy to say that people should just budget better, that if I just watched my spending, I wouldn't be in this situation. I know people who would say that. But the truth is, I do budget. I track my expenses. I've cut back on almost everything I can, no more dining out, no more spontaneous shopping trips. I haven't gone out with friends in months because I just can't afford it. I've given up on things like vacations and fun activities, things I used to look forward to. The most luxurious thing I do now is taking a walk in the park and pretending for an hour that I'm not thinking about how many things I need to catch up on. Some days it's all I can do to just stay focused at work. I'm on autopilot, replying to emails, attending meetings, but my mind is elsewhere. It's on the bills. It's on the debts. It's on the creeping fear that one day I'll miss a payment, and that will be the end of whatever fragile stability I've managed to scrape together. I try to be kind to myself, telling myself that everyone is struggling, that I'm not alone. I know that's true, but it doesn't make it easier. There's a weight to this constant anxiety. I can't remember the last time I slept without waking up in the middle of the night, my mind racing with worries. How will I pay for everything? What will I do if something unexpected happens? Am I doing enough to build a future for myself, or am I stuck in this cycle forever? At times, I find myself getting angry. Angry at a system that seems designed to keep people like me down. It's like everything is stacked against us. The cost of living goes up, but wages don't follow suit. Rent prices rise while the job market is full of low-paying jobs that demand more hours and more energy without offering any real chance at advancement. And even when you try to climb out, there's always something that pulls you back down. I've had moments when I've asked myself why I bother. Why I'm working so hard when it feels like I'm barely making progress. I've had to put so many dreams on hold. Dreams of traveling, of buying my own place, of starting a career I actually care about. It's hard not to feel bitter when I see people around me moving forward, hitting milestones while I'm stuck in this holding pattern. I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to learn something new, something that could set me on a different path, but I don't even know how to afford the application fees, let alone tuition. But what really stings is the feeling of time slipping away. I had big plans, big ambitions for my life when I was younger. I dreamed of a future where I could enjoy the fruits of my labor, where I wouldn't be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. And now, I'm not sure where that future went. Despite everything, there's a part of me that clings to hope. Maybe, if I just keep working hard, if I keep pushing through, things will get better. Maybe one day, I'll be able to catch up. Maybe one day, I'll get the chance to live the life I've always imagined. But some days, that hope feels like a distant dream, fading with each bill that arrives. I try to remind myself that I'm doing the best I can. That even though it feels like I'm not getting anywhere, I'm still moving. Slowly, yes, but I'm moving. I hold on to the belief that there's a future out there for me that doesn't feel this heavy. But right now, in this moment, it's hard to shake the feeling that I'm stuck, trapped in a system that just doesn't care. At the end of the day, I close my eyes and wonder how long this will go on. How long I'll keep struggling to stay afloat in an economy that seems to be swallowing everyone whole. The dream of a better tomorrow seems so far away, but I hold on to it, because what else can I do? I just have to keep going. Keep working. Keep hoping. Even if it feels like I'm fighting against the tide, I have to believe that someday, I'll find my way to the shore. Until then, I'll just keep waking up to the alarm, and keep fighting through another day. I wake up to the sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand, its screen flashing with a reminder that my rent is due in 3 days. The anxiety kicks in immediately, the same way it does every month. My heart sinks as I glance over my bank account. It's not as bad as last month, but it's not good either. There's barely enough to cover rent, let alone all the other things that are just part of life now: utilities, groceries, gas for my car, the student loan payment I've been ignoring for months. And then there's the credit card bill, the one I just keep paying the minimum on, hoping somehow, magically, things will get better. I'm 26, and I feel like I'm drowning. I don't know what I expected adulthood to be, but I definitely didn't imagine this constant, overwhelming pressure. Every day, I'm playing catch-up, trying to balance one bill with another, one expense with a paycheck that never quite stretches far enough. I got my degree a few years ago, and I thought that would be the key to everything: better opportunities, financial freedom, a solid path forward. But the reality is, the degree doesn't matter as much as it should. I've got a job I'm grateful for, but it's not what I dreamed of when I was in school. It's not even in the field I studied. It's just a job, a decent one, but it doesn't pay enough to cover everything I need. I can't even think about saving for the future, let alone planning for the kind of life I imagined having by now. The constant worry about money has crushed any semblance of the dreams I had when I was younger. I tell myself, just a little longer, just hang in there a little longer, but I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Every time I make progress, it feels like something new pops up, something I didn't expect. My car breaks down, and I have to scramble to find the money for repairs. The price of groceries goes up again, and I have to start buying cheaper brands, the kind I can't even pronounce half the time. My friends are all in the same boat, too. We joke about it, but underneath, we all know it's no joke. Everyone's struggling to stay afloat. Some days, I wonder if it's all even worth it. I've worked my ass off for years now, and I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. I still don't have the ability to make any significant progress. I still feel like I'm stuck, spinning my wheels while everyone around me seems to be moving ahead. I know I'm not alone in this. I've talked to enough people to realize that pretty much everyone my age feels like they're fighting the same battle. The cost of living is rising faster than wages, and the world seems to keep getting more expensive. Rent, insurance, utilities, student loans, healthcare, everything costs more than it did a few years ago, and I don't see how we're supposed to keep up. It's like we're all stuck in this cycle, constantly trying to outpace inflation, but we're always a step behind. I used to dream about owning a home someday, about having a little space of my own, something I could call mine. But that feels like an impossible dream now. Every time I hear someone talk about buying a house, it's a reminder of just how far out of reach that dream really is. I can't even imagine how I'd come up with the down payment, let alone keep up with a mortgage. I wonder if I'll ever be able to live a life that feels even remotely stable, or if I'll always be stuck in this grind, always struggling to make ends meet. I cope by doing the little things, getting creative with meals, trying to find discounts, cutting back on anything that isn't absolutely necessary. I don't go out much anymore, and when I do, I always feel guilty about spending even a small amount of money. I've learned to live with a constant undercurrent of stress. It's there when I wake up, when I'm at work, when I go to bed. I try not to let it overwhelm me, but some days, it does. Some days, it feels like I'm suffocating under the weight of it all. I try not to talk too much about it, though. People don't really get it unless they're in the same situation. And even then, it feels like everyone's in competition to see who has it worse. So, I keep it inside, except for the occasional venting session with close friends who are in the same boat. But even then, I can't help but feel like we're all just stuck in a loop, constantly talking about how hard things are but not knowing how to fix them. It's hard not to get bitter sometimes. I look around at the people who seem to have it all together, the ones who travel, who buy new clothes, who don't seem to be weighed down by constant financial stress, and I wonder how they do it. Do they have trust funds? Do their parents help them out? Or are they just better at managing money than I am? I can't help but feel like I'm doing something wrong, like I missed some secret manual that everyone else got. But then, I remind myself that I'm not alone in this. Everyone's struggling. Everyone's trying to figure it out. And maybe it's not about having everything figured out right now. Maybe it's about getting through today, getting through this week, this month. Maybe it's about surviving the grind until things start to change, until the economy shifts, or until I land a better job, or until I can finally catch a break. But, even as I try to hold on to that hope, it's hard not to feel like I'm running out of time. I look ahead and see a future where I'm still just getting by, still struggling to pay rent, still never able to put anything away for savings or retirement. I wonder if this is just how it's going to be forever. And the thought of that is suffocating. Some days, I let myself imagine a different life, one where I'm not constantly worried about money, one where I'm not just surviving, but actually living. I picture myself in a job I love, in a home I can afford, with financial security that lets me dream and plan for the future. But those moments are brief. They're flashes of light in the dark, and I always come back to reality, where everything feels heavy, and the weight of the world is just a little bit too much to bear. I try to remind myself that I'm doing the best I can. That I'm working hard. That I haven't given up. But the pressure is relentless, and some days, it feels like it might break me. It's hard to keep hoping when everything feels like it's getting worse, not better. But I keep going. Because what else is there to do? What other choice do I have? I'll keep doing what I can to get by, keep trying to find a way out of this financial hole, keep hoping that one day, things will get better. And maybe, just maybe, one day I'll look back on this and see how far I've come. But right now, it's hard to see anything but the weight of the bills, the pressure, and the unrelenting feeling that no matter how hard I work, I'm always a step behind. Maybe that's just the reality of being young in this economy. Maybe it's not something I can escape, but something I have to endure. Maybe it'll get better. Or maybe it won't. All I can do is keep pushing forward, even when it feels like the world is conspiring against me. And maybe, just maybe, one day I'll find a way to breathe again. The alarm rings at 6:30 a.m., and I hit snooze, just for 5 more minutes, but I know it'll be at least 10 before I get up. I stretch, blinking into the dim morning light, feeling the weight of the day ahead already settling on my shoulders. I wish I could ignore it, but I know I can't. There are bills to pay, work to get through, and another round of decisions to make about what I can afford this week. I get up, shuffle to the bathroom, and face myself in the mirror. A tired, worn-out version of the person I used to be, bright-eyed and full of plans. Now, all I can think about is how to get through the day without feeling like I'm drowning. I'm 25, trying to figure out how to make life work in an economy that feels like it's running away from me. I have a steady job, which I'm grateful for, but it's nowhere near enough to cover the cost of living. My rent keeps going up, gas prices make driving to work feel like a luxury, and groceries, simple things like fruit or bread, cost more than they used to. I keep trying to convince myself that I'm doing okay, that I'm making it, but the truth is, every month I feel a little more behind. I've learned to live with the tightness in my chest, the anxious tick of knowing my paycheck doesn't stretch as far as it should. When I was younger, I thought by now I'd have it all figured out. I thought I'd be traveling, buying things I wanted, saving for the future. Instead, I'm just trying to make sure I don't end up in debt, trying to manage the never-ending balancing act of expenses and what's left after everything is paid. I check my bank account, and for a moment, I feel like I'm holding my breath. There's always more going out than coming in, and yet I can't shake this constant feeling that I'm doing something wrong, that I should be doing better. I can't even tell you how many times I've had to skip meals or stretch out the time between groceries, hoping that I can make it last a little longer. I try to get creative with cheap meals, pasta, rice, anything I can make a few different ways to save money. But the fact is, I shouldn't have to feel like I'm stretching myself so thin just to survive. I'm doing everything right. I have a job, I pay my bills on time, I don't live extravagantly. And yet, I'm stuck in a loop where the basics, food, rent, transportation, are more than I can afford. There are days when I'm so tired, physically and emotionally, that I can't imagine how I'll keep going like this. I try not to compare myself to others, but it's hard when everyone around me seems to have it all together. Friends post pictures of vacations, new apartments, even things like nice dinners or coffee dates, and I can't help but wonder how they do it. Do they not feel the weight of the world the way I do? I can barely afford a night out, let alone a weekend getaway. They talk about their savings, their retirement plans, and I feel a lump in my throat because I don't even have enough for an emergency fund, let alone something for the future. What does it mean when you can barely afford today, let alone tomorrow? Some nights, when I'm alone and everything's quiet, I think about the dreams I've had to put on hold. When I graduated, I dreamed of traveling, seeing the world, maybe even moving to a new city. But every time I get close to making it happen, I'm forced to push it back because I can't afford it. A part of me wonders if I'll ever get to live those dreams. I've had to settle for the idea that I'll never own a home, that I'll always be renting, always scraping by. And that breaks me, because I want more than that. I want to live a life where I don't feel like I'm just surviving, but thriving. And yet, I don't want to quit. I don't want to give up on the future, on the idea that things might change. I'm not sure how, but I keep hoping. Some days, that hope feels more like a faint flicker, but I hold on to it. I keep working, keep pushing through. Maybe it's denial, or maybe it's just the way I've learned to cope. But there's a small part of me that tells myself, just keep going. It'll get better. I've learned to adjust my expectations. It's hard, but I try to find joy in the little things, taking a walk in the park, having a good conversation with a friend, reading a book I've been meaning to get to. I focus on the fact that I have a job, a roof over my head, and the ability to keep moving forward, even when it feels like a struggle. Those small victories help, but the truth is, I feel like I'm constantly running in place. The harder I work, the further behind I seem to fall. It's hard to talk about. I don't want people to think I'm complaining, because I'm not. I know I'm not the only one. But I wish the world didn't feel like it was designed to make things harder for people like me, people who are just trying to make it work. The truth is, I'm tired. I'm exhausted from constantly calculating, from budgeting and rebudgeting, from counting every cent and still feeling like I'm falling short. But I keep going. Because what else can I do? I don't have the luxury of giving up. I don't have the luxury of letting the weight of it all pull me under. So I keep pushing. Maybe one day, it'll all make sense. Maybe one day, the numbers will add up. Until then, I'll keep going, even when it feels like I'm barely hanging on. I wake up to the sound of my alarm, the same one I've had for 3 years now, old, but somehow still reliable. It's still dark outside, and I groggily stretch my arms, fighting the weight of exhaustion pulling me back into the warmth of the bed. I could probably sleep for hours more, but I can't afford to. The rent's due, the bills are piling up, and I haven't been able to stop feeling the pressure of it all. I pull myself out of bed, flick on the lights, and immediately glance at the clock on my phone. It's 6:30 a.m. The day starts now, whether I'm ready or not. Coffee. Always the first thing I do. I pour it into a mug, no time for a fancy brew anymore, just the cheapest stuff I can find. One of the small victories of my life is the extra shot of milk I put in there, the one indulgence I allow myself, because even though it's a little unnecessary, it feels like I'm holding on to something normal, something that hasn't slipped away like everything else. I start going through the mental checklist. Bills. Rent. Grocery store. Work. Somehow, I've gotten used to this routine, the constant balancing act of cutting corners, negotiating with myself over how far I can stretch my paycheck. It's like a never-ending game where I'm always losing, but I'm too deep into it to stop playing. The rent is my biggest worry, always. It's the one thing I can't compromise on. If I pay it, then I have to skip the car payment. If I pay that, I'm eating rice for the next 2 weeks, literally. Sometimes, I wonder how long this can go on. How long before I'm buried under all of it, before it all just comes crashing down, and I can't hold it together anymore. I brush my teeth and think about my last conversation with my mom. She said something like, "You're young, you're supposed to be out there living your life, not stressing about bills and surviving." I know she means well, but she doesn't understand. My whole life has been survival. I was raised to be practical, to make do with what I had, but I thought it would get better. I thought there would come a day where things weren't so tight, when I could finally exhale, finally have room to breathe without my bank account gasping for air too. I step outside and the cold hits me like a slap. It's one of those gray mornings, the sky just a blur of clouds. not that it matters. I don't have the energy to care about the weather anymore. The world feels heavy, like it's slowly sinking in on me. I don't even know where the time goes, how I've gotten to this point where it feels like nothing changes. Each day blends into the next, and I feel smaller with each passing one. The commute to work is another cycle of mental gymnastics. I try to keep the car in decent shape, but every time something breaks, it feels like I'm one step closer to losing it all. Like a chain, each new expense links me tighter to this trap, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm one breakdown away from disaster. Sometimes, I wonder how people survive without family to lean on. My family isn't rich, but they've helped when things got really bad. Still, I can't keep asking them to bail me out. I get to work, clock in, and it's another long day. My coworkers, some of them, seem so carefree. It's almost like they're living in a different world. I hear them talk about vacations they're planning, new clothes they bought, weekend trips. I try to smile, but inside I feel a pit opening up. How are they doing it? Why am I the one struggling to make it? The hardest part of this life isn't just the financial pressure, it's the way it affects everything else. It eats at your soul. It chips away at your joy, at your confidence, at the things you used to dream about. I used to think I'd travel the world, meet new people, maybe even go back to school. But now, all I think about is how to stretch that last $20 until payday, how to make sure I have enough gas to get to work, how to avoid opening a bill that I know I can't pay. By the time I get home, I'm exhausted, physically and emotionally. The apartment feels small and empty. I make some dinner, but it's always cheap, pasta, frozen vegetables, the same thing over and over. There's no room for anything else. Even if I wanted to treat myself to something more, I can't. I don't even remember the last time I bought anything for myself. I used to write. Back in high school, I had notebooks filled with stories, ideas, dreams. But now, even the thought of writing feels out of reach. The joy of it, the escape, gone. It's like I'm too tired for anything but survival, and every time I think about doing something I love, I feel guilty. There's no time for that. I know I'm not alone in this. I see it in the faces of the people I know, friends who are struggling to get by, coworkers who are overworked, everyone just pushing forward, trying to make ends meet. It's like we're all running on a treadmill that never stops. The harder we run, the faster it goes, and we just keep chasing. But it's not about going anywhere. It's just about staying in place, not falling off the edge. I think about the future sometimes. I dream of a day when I can breathe, when I can actually think about something other than bills, when I can do what I love and not feel guilty for it. I dream of a life where I don't wake up with a knot in my stomach, where I don't feel trapped. But every time I try to imagine it, it feels so far away. Like I'm running towards something that will always be just out of reach. But I keep going. I keep working, keep pushing through the day-to-day grind. I remind myself that I'm not failing, even though it feels like it sometimes. I remind myself that this isn't forever, that there's still hope, even if it's hard to see right now. Some nights, when I finally crawl into bed and close my eyes, I try to hold on to that hope. I tell myself that things can get better, that I will get better. And maybe, just maybe, I'll get to a place where the weight of it all doesn't crush me every single day. Until then, though, I'll keep doing what I can to survive. I'll keep going, because that's all I can do. But the truth is, I don't know how long I can keep up this fight. Sometimes, I feel like I'm already losing. Maybe one day, I'll be able to look back and see how far I've come. But for now, all I can do is put one foot in front of the other and hope that, eventually, something gives. Until then, I'll just keep breathing. And maybe, just maybe, I'll hold on to that small shot of milk in my coffee. Because in this world, even the smallest things can make all the difference. It's hard to pinpoint when it all started feeling like I was sinking. Maybe it was when I realized that no matter how hard I worked, the bills were always a little bit ahead of me. The rent went up. Gas prices went up. Groceries went up. And somehow, my paycheck always felt like it was coming up shorter than I needed it to be. I'm 24. I've been out of college for almost 2 years now, and I thought I'd be doing more by now. I thought I'd be, I don't know, thriving, maybe? Instead, I spend most of my time scrambling. I'm constantly worrying about how I'm going to make ends meet, trying to predict when I can afford to buy things like food or a bus pass or even a cup of coffee without feeling guilty. The cost of living just seems to increase exponentially, but my paycheck? It's barely budged since I first got the job. I work at a marketing agency. It's not a bad gig, but it's not exactly glamorous either. I'm doing the work I was trained to do, and I like it some days. But there's this undercurrent of anxiety that I can never quite shake. I live paycheck to paycheck, which is exhausting. It feels like no matter how much effort I put in, the money just disappears. There's always a new expense, a surprise bill, or something unexpected that comes up, like the car breaking down or needing to buy a new phone because mine's finally given up the ghost. The other day, I sat down to pay my bills. I've gotten pretty good at it, being methodical about it, making sure everything's accounted for, but even then, I could feel my stomach tighten as I scrolled through my bank account. There was enough to cover everything, just. But I wouldn't be able to treat myself to anything extra for the next few weeks. No eating out. No buying a new book. No ordering takeout because I'm too tired to cook. It felt suffocating, like I was boxed into this tight corner, struggling to breathe. I can't remember the last time I went on a real vacation. I used to dream about traveling the world, going on an adventure to some faraway place where I could see new things, meet new people. But now, the closest thing to travel I've done is scrolling through other people's Instagram posts, watching them in Bali or Paris, wondering when I'll get there. I know the whole work hard and you'll get there mentality, but I'm starting to wonder if that's just a myth. Everyone talks about working hard and making sacrifices, but the truth is, I feel like I'm working as hard as I can and still getting nowhere. Some days, I just want to scream. It's like everything is moving faster than I can keep up with, and I can't figure out how to get ahead. I spend so much time calculating, if I put this much towards rent, I can maybe afford this bill. If I don't eat out for the next 2 weeks, I might be able to get that new jacket I've been eyeing. I tell myself that I'll be okay, that eventually things will get better, but it's hard to believe that when every single month feels like the same exhausting cycle. I've had to let go of so many dreams. The idea of moving out of my small apartment into something bigger? That's just not going to happen anytime soon. Maybe in a few years, if I'm lucky. I had plans to get a dog, but how can I afford that when I'm already scraping by? I had dreams of going back to school, maybe to get my master's degree, but that feels so far away now. The cost of tuition alone is a mountain I can't even begin to climb, let alone all the other costs that would come with it. So, I just push those dreams aside, bury them under this pile of bills and responsibilities, because there's no room for them right now. And the worst part is how invisible it feels. I mean, people talk about struggling financially, but I don't think anyone really gets what it's like. How could they? I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but I feel like I'm doing everything right, and yet it's just not enough. The system feels rigged, like no matter how much you try to claw your way out, the walls keep getting higher. I know I'm not alone in this. Everyone I know is dealing with the same thing. Everyone's living paycheck to paycheck, trying to find ways to make their money stretch. We all talk about it, but nobody has a solution. We're all just stuck in this grind, doing our best to keep from falling under. Some of my friends talk about getting second jobs, but I can't even imagine how I'd do that and still have the energy to function. I'm already tired. So, I keep pushing, and I keep hoping that something will change, something big, something that will make all of this better. Some days, I feel like I'm losing my sense of self. When everything revolves around money, it's easy to forget what you actually want or who you are outside of that. I remember when I used to go for walks just because it felt good, not because I needed to clear my head from the pressure. I used to think about my future with excitement. Now, it's more of a vague, uncertain blur. I want to believe that one day, I'll have the financial freedom to do things I love again, but how long can I hold on to that hope? My emotional well-being is fragile. I try not to let it show, but I can feel the weight of it pressing on me every day. Sometimes I can't sleep because I'm worrying about the future. Will I be stuck in this cycle forever? Will I ever have enough? It's all so draining. And then, there are days when I just shut it all out. I binge-watch TV shows, scroll aimlessly through social media, do anything to distract myself from the reality that keeps coming at me like a freight train. But the problem doesn't go away when I look away. It's always there, waiting for me the moment I wake up or open my bank app. I wonder sometimes if this is how life is supposed to be. If you're just supposed to grind, give up what makes you happy, and just survive. I've talked to older people, and they say it gets easier, that things will improve with time. But sometimes, I don't know if I believe them. They've been through it, they've seen the ups and downs, but I feel like I'm stuck in a loop that's only going down. I'm trying to stay optimistic. I try to remind myself that things might change, that there are still possibilities, even if they're not clear right now. I remind myself that I'm not alone in this, that so many people are struggling with the same thing. We'll get through it, I tell myself, we'll find a way. But even as I say it, it feels like I'm just trying to convince myself of something I can't truly grasp. So, for now, I just keep going. I keep working, keep budgeting, keep holding on to whatever tiny bits of hope I can find. I tell myself that things will change someday. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next year. Maybe in 5 years. I try to believe that something will break the cycle. But until then, I'll keep doing what I can to survive, even when it feels like I'm drowning in a system that's always one step ahead of me. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos. Also, leave a comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.